What's going on, guys? Jim the Game Guru. Today's video, let's go over some creative games that let your creative juices flow. Now, these are games that are like building sandbox games or games that are like city simulators, or I even have one on here, it's a farm simulator. But they're games that you can sink a lot of time into, and you have the freedom of creativity to build things kind of the way you want. If you guys are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I am your video game and board game nerd, and I do have giveaways coming very soon. I think in about a week or so I'll have a preview video of some of the giveaways that I'm going to be giving out the next few months. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the list. We have 21 games that I'm going to cover. Let's go into number one, the very first game on the list. Now, by the way, the order in this list means nothing. It doesn't mean one game's better than the other. I'm just going to list the games out. 21 games, whatever number slot they are, they're just in that slot. Okay, so the first game, let's get into some Minecraft. Minecraft, the game has been around forever. One of probably the most ultimate building sandbox games out there. It's actually a pretty big sandbox because you can build infinite. You can have infinite worlds that kind of scale out as far as you can go, or as far as your game system can handle. But Minecraft, yeah, you can. I mean, you have quite a variety of blocks to your disposals. You have two different modes. You have a creative mode and a survival mode. If you play creative mode, you do not have to worry about dying, and you have all the resources at your disposal. And survival, you have limited resources. You have to harvest them and mine them and build everything as you go, as you earn the resources. So that is Minecraft. Awesome game. My daughter plays that all the time, and I used to play that a ton back in the day. But can't go wrong with Minecraft. Beautiful building game. Number two, the second game on the list. Let's go with some Terraria. Terraria, man, this game is so cool. I like it because it's very unique. It's like a mashup between like Super Mario and Minecraft meets Super Mario meets Zelda 2. And I don't know if anyone watching this video has ever actually remembers Zelda 2 back in the NES 8-bit days. And Zelda 2 was a side-scroller. Well, the overworld map was top-down, but the actual part was where you're fighting and stuff was all side-scrolling. And that's what's kind of like. It's kind of like a side-scrolling Zelda game with Minecraft elements. You can build a town. You're in this kind of a sandbox environment where you kind of go through and you can dig underneath the ground. You can find bosses. You can find temples. So many items. My God, there are so many items in this game that you can actually pick up. And as far as like costumes or armor or different things you can make, different furniture, everything. It's actually a really, really cool game. The only thing I don't like about Terraria is I'm not a big fan of 505 games. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of them. I think their development cycles are really weird. They release buggy versions of their games a lot, and they don't fix their bugs in their games in a reasonable time frame, and then sometimes they'll have these bugs in their games that will last forever until they get around to actually pushing out the fixes. Terraria is an awesome game, but 505 games I am not a fan of. Okay, the third and fourth game on this list, we're going to go with some Dragon Quest Builders and Dragon Quest Builders 2. Dude, these games are awesome. They're awesome. They take some of like the pain points of Minecraft and they kind of alleviate them. I feel like in Dragon Quest Builders and Builders 2, you can actually build things a lot faster. You get blueprints, you can build things way faster and actually mine things faster than you can in Minecraft. And the thing about Builders is it actually gives you an adventure. There's an adventure that you go through campaigns and the storyline, and you meet characters, defeat a bunch of enemies. There's a bunch of enemies out and about. And it just takes like this adventure plus the Minecraft elements, and it just gives you this awesome way of creating these beautiful structures. I absolutely love both of these games. I think Dragon Quest Builders 2 is definitely way better than the first one. and it actually gives you multiplayer options with Dragon Quest Builder 2. But if you're on a tight budget, then I would suggest probably the first Dragon Quest Builders, because Dragon Quest Builders 2 is $60, and I don't think it's ever been on sale ever. I don't know. I might be wrong. There may have been one time where it was on sale, and I just didn't see it. But yeah, those two are absolutely amazing. The one thing I don't like about Dragon Quest Builders, though, is that they don't have an infinite world option yet. And I'm hoping that maybe in Dragon Quest Builders 3 or maybe in Dragon Quest Builders 4, whenever they decide to come around making those titles, that they would have something like that. And that's one thing that I think Minecraft is really that's really nice, is you can make these huge worlds. But with builders, you're isolated on islands, and you can only build on these islands, which sometimes I feel it could be like a little constricting. To next game, the 5th game on the list, let's go to Constructor Plus. This one I've never played. It looks interesting, to say the least. It's a little weird. It does have a nice low price point, and so that's one thing in this list that I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to offer games that have some that are higher in price point and much higher quality with these creative games, and then some that are kind of lower price, maybe not as good, but it's an option if you want a lower priced game. Yes, Constructor Plus is basically, it looks like one of those older city sim games, but it's very strange. It has a lot of like interesting characters that run around on the screen, and the look and feel of it, like the aesthetic, it's odd. It's odd. Never played it. If you guys have played it, let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious to see how the game actually plays. I mean, there's certain things about it that I think look cool, and there's certain things that maybe look a little cheesy. But it is a low-cost option if you want a city sim game. Okay, so the next 6th game on the list, My Time at Portia. Another great game. A great game that suffers from performance issues on the Switch. I haven't seen them fix it yet. I mean, it's still, there's times where you get frame rate drops in there, which is a shame. But I don't think it's as bad as when it was first released. So I think they fixed it up a little bit. But in this one, you're a protagonist that kind of leaves and goes to Portia, and it is a game where you build kind of like your own like little farm and grow your own stuff and build the inside of your house the way you want it with furniture. And there is a part where you can actually go into like ruins and mine for different types of ore. But yeah, you can do a lot in this game, and you can actually, if you don't want to do any of that creative stuff and build things and set up your ranch, then you can actually go into like towns and talk to people and go on quests and fall in love. There's actually romance in the game, which is really, really cool. So My Time at Portia, it's got like funky character models in the game. I'm not a big fan of that, but other than that, I think the game looks alright. 7th on the list, City Skylines. Oh my god, I love this game. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's absolutely awesome game. You can do so much, man. You build a city, and you can just, I mean, there's so many different options, from roads to different types of transportations to metros, taxis, different ways to create energy for your city. And you're building up these different zones, commercial zones, residential zones, etc. And it's just, man, it is such a good time. The Switch version doesn't look as good as like the PC version, or maybe even the Xbox or PS4 or whatever. I feel like the graphics have been kind of watered down a little bit on the Switch version, but it still looks decent. There's a little bit of popping in the Switch version, but it is such an awesome city sim. It's a great game. You can get so creative with it and build your city the way you want to build it. And I have been having a blast with it. I don't know what the natural disasters are like in it, because I don't play with the natural disasters turned on for City Skylines. One day I might try it. But yeah, you can't go wrong with that game. That game, I think it goes $40 regular price, but it does go on sale a lot. It goes on, I mean, and when I picked up City Skylines, I picked it up for like something absurd. It was like $4 or something. It was something really, really cheap. So if you end up going for City Skylines, wait for a sale. Yeah, if you're afraid of the actual $40 price, because it does go on sale quite a bit. Okay, 8th game on the list, PixARK. Well, if you like Minecraft or any other kind of builder game like that, you may like this one. This one is it's very similar to Minecraft, but it's got dinosaurs in it. It's got, it looks like you can go on adventures, and you can with other people and fight all sorts of creatures out in the wilds. I mean, I've seen stuff with the ogres and dragons and also some absurd stuff too. Like there was one where like they had a pterodon with a house on it. When I was just like, oh my god, are you serious? A pterodon with a house? But yeah, I like the rendering in it. I like how it has better lighting effects. And I like some of the textures that it uses in there compared to like Minecraft. It's one that I've been eyeing up, and I didn't pull the trigger because it's actually a little bit more expensive than Minecraft. I think Minecraft goes for like $29. This one goes for $39. There was a sale not too long ago that it was like $2, and I didn't pick it up. And I'm such an idiot. I should have just, for $2, I should have picked it up so I can play it and try it. But I'm definitely going to pick this one up eventually for my daughter. But that is PixARK. If you want something that's kind of like Minecraft with some dinosaurs and other creatures, and it has a little bit of a different graphical style to it, it might be a good choice for you. Okay, ninth game on the list, Lethis Path of Progression. So this one looks interesting. It's kind of it's a city sim, but it's kind of like in a steampunk universe, which is in some of like the graphics with like the characters seem very like cartoony, like almost like an anime, or I wouldn't say anime, maybe like an old school American cartoon. I don't know. It's like an old school 2D city builder, and they say it's in a Victorian steampunk universe called Lethis. You have to build and manage cities, provide resources for your inhabitants while making sure there are enough workers to sustain your production lines. Trade with other cities, honor the requests of your emperor, and make your citizens happy. So it's a very, it seems like a very straightforward as far as description there of a city sim. Okay, the 10th game on the list. This one is actually a really, really cheap option. This one's probably about like $10. It is New Frontier Days Founding Pioneers. And I was kind of hesitant whether or not I wanted to put this on the list. The only reason why I put this on the list because it was a cheap option. And I like when I build these lists, I like making these lists so that I'm giving people options of games that are higher priced and some that are cheaper. Now I think with this one though, you sacrifice a lot with its cost. It doesn't the trailer looked really, really rough. It kind of looks like a almost mobile style game, but it's another simple town building game where you command your pioneers to colonize a new land, and there's things in there. So you kind of have all these little pioneers. You say, hey, you go and collect wood, or you go build this, or you do that, and then there's also ways in the game that you can actually tame wild animals. So it looks interesting. I've never played it. I don't want to slam it and say it's bad. I mean, obviously I'm putting it on here for an option. But if you've played this game, let me know in the comments. I'm wondering, is it a valid $10 option? Is it something that's fun? But yeah, let me know. Okay, 11th on the list is I think it's the only anime one that I have on this entire list. It is Nelke and the legendary Alchemists Ateliers of the World. So this game is kind of like in the Atelier universe. I mean, there's some other Atelier games out there, like Atelier Ryza is one, for example. So this is kind of like in the same type of universe, but it's a little different. This one kind of mixes RPG with town management. So you can create your town, you can assign your buildings in certain places. I don't know, one thing I don't know about this game is I don't know how flexible the game is when it comes to the town management. Can you put things anywhere? Can you manage a bunch of resources? Like, I don't know how far into the town management it goes, and I'm not willing to pay the steep price to find out. It is I believe this one's actually $60. It looks cool, but again, it's another one of those games that if you've played this game, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious. I want to know how it is. But I feel like this is another solid option for like a town management game, town sim. 12th on the list, Stardew Valley. Oh my god, this game is awesome. Stardew Valley, this is about you're a protagonist that you leave the city and you kind of go to a remote area, a farm area. It's kind of like a small village, small town. And you have your own farm. You get handed a farm to you. In this game, what you do is you're all about growing crops. You grow crops. You go around. You do quests for around the town. there's also romance in the game. There's also a cave that you can go into, and then you can actually descend certain floors to find other resources. And when you go in the cave, you'll have like Zelda style action where you can swing swords and kill monsters. Don't let the pixel art in this game fool you. This game is absolutely awesome. I love Stardew Valley, and there's different type of farms that you can actually manage and build. And like if you want the normal farm, you can build a normal farm. If you want like an island-based farm with a lot of rivers around it or waters around it, you can do the island-based. If you want a mountain-based farm, you can do that. So even if you do one type of farm and you go through like a lot of the quests and find your romance and you feel like you've done everything in the game, you can then go do a different type of farm and a different type of terrain to kind of mix it up if you want to go through the entire thing again. But yeah, Stardew Valley is another game you could definitely sink a ton of hours. I think most of these games you can sink a good chunk of hours into. Okay, so the next one, 13th, I'm going to group all of these games for 13th in one bucket. And these are the Kairosoft games. Now these games are the exception on this list where you cannot sink a lot of time into them. They are games that you can probably beat very, very quickly. I've played one of these games, which is Dungeon Village. I have that on my cell phone. So they've actually ported a lot of their games that they have on mobile over to the Switch. Game like Venture Towns, Dungeon Village, Pocket League Story, Game Dev Story. And they're actually pretty cheap. They're about $14. Some of these games get on sale. Like I know 2 of these games are on sale now for like $7. But these will give you creativity and of building your town, like some Venture Towns or even like in Dungeon Village. The goal is to say you have this village that you need to get to a 5-star rating. And you start off really simple, nothing in the village. And then you have people that come into your village, and what you do is you assign people jobs and tasks, and they go out and they kind of help you gathering things, or you might assign jobs to them that, hey, go work this farm or whatever. And then you build these little shops. You can build these little shops in your town, these little buildings in your town, and as you upgrade your town, you'll have additional shops available to you. The pixel art in these games are amazing. I am a huge fan of crisp pixel art. I hate it when it's dirty, muddled. Like I like it when it's very, very crisp, and these games have nice crisp pixel art, but they're just not very deep. Like the town itself is not big when you're building them, and the game is not as deep as some of the other games where you have a bunch of options and things to do with certain things you're setting up in your town. It is very very simple where, hey, you put a building there, okay, you build a building, and then you get whatever you can from that building, and that's it for the most part. You're not going to have all these complicated setups and tweaking and being able to run one thing from another like you can a lot of other like town or city builders. But if you want something that is probably a little lighter, something that's and that you can beat within like a few hours, maybe like 10 hours or whatever, and this might be a good option. And they're cheap enough that even if you buy another one of their games later on, that you can kind of add on to the fun. Okay, 10 hours on one and 10 hours another. But yeah, they're I'll consider them very more like pocket style simulators, city simulators. And some of them are not even cities. Some of these games are like building up a soccer team, or building up a game dev studio, or building up a manga studio, or whatever. They usually have the same theme where you have something really, really small and you need to build it up to the highest possible ranking. But yeah, those are the Kairosoft games. 13th on the list. 14th on the list, we're going to do some Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition. So this one is basically you are going to build and manage your own theme park. So you control your park finances, your shops, your services, and staff to succeed in dozens of scenarios, become a true tycoon, and embark on your promising new career or create your ideal park without money woes in sandbox mode, satisfy your guest needs, and keep your park running smoothly to succeed. So that's it. You're basically building a theme park. You can put roller coasters up, different types of rides. I don't know if I like the aesthetics of the game, but I mean it's okay. But the fact that you can build your own theme park and create your own attractions and set them up wherever, and you're managing the finances and everything. I think that sounds really, really cool. Okay, so 15th on the list, 2 Point Hospital. This game is highly rated, and it is a game where you, well, basically you have a hospital, you're managing a hospital, and you're building up a hospital. You're expanding the hospital, you're creating new rooms, new services in the hospitals, and you're basically trying to cure people with different illnesses that come in. One thing that really turns me off with this game is that it's very, very silly. Like, it is silly. And whenever I get into like creative games like this where you're building fortresses or you're building towns or you're building whatever, whether it's like a Minecraft style or whether it's like a one of the other city sim style games, for me personally, I like it when it's a little bit more on the serious note. This one is definitely very, very silly and goofy with a lot of like some of the people that come in and like what they end up becoming, and you know, there's people that have like 8 balls for heads and goofiness like that. So it's a very, very silly game. But man, you can actually build some big hospitals in this game. It's crazy. It's like an amusement park style. And if you go for the Jumbo Edition, you'll actually get all the DLCs and everything with the game. If you're into hospital sims and building the hospitals, and maybe something a little lighter, something a little goofier, then that probably would hit the spot for you. Okay, 16th on the list, Mad Tower Tycoon. Here's a game where it's not a city sim, not a sandbox builder, but it's a game where you build a tower. You build a tower, and you handle everything inside of the tower. You handle what types of rooms you put in there, escalators from one room to another, what kind of shops you put in there. There's even parts where you can get like a tram running beneath it. So all of the management is within the tower and expanding it and building it and getting in the game. You'll actually have people that got to go back and forth between all these rooms, and it looks interesting. The graphics look like caca, and they just do, but that doesn't mean that the game's not fun. I mean, I'm thinking when I look at this game, I think that the gameplay will probably be one of its redeeming factors. And I'm hoping I'm not wrong. So that is Mad Tower Tycoon, 16th. 17th, Railway Empire. This one looks really, really cool. It is about basically you're managing a railroad, and you have different types of locomotives that you can get. There's actually 40 historical locomotives. There's 30 different types of wagons you can get throughout the course of this game. And then there's actually technologies the game actually boasts about investing in over 300 new technologies across 5 different areas. And you build this, you're in charge of your locomotives, you're in charge of your railway, and you're connecting all these different lands and points of land interests together, running huge railroad lines. I don't know how, the one thing I don't know about this game is I don't know how the railroad investing in technologies impacts the towns. And I'm very, very curious about that. I'm curious to see, does that impact some of the town building and how the towns are built? And do you have any control over that? It's on my wish list, and I'm hoping to pick it up very, very soon. I'm waiting for that one to dip on sale. That one's about $40. I've been waiting for it to dip to about $15, $20 before I pick it up, but they are defying me. They refuse to put that damn game on sale. Okay, 18th on the list, Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition. Hey, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, here you go. You can build your own Jurassic Park. I mean, that is so freaking cool. And the Complete Edition comes with all the DLCs. Yeah, so you'll have different variety of dinosaurs. You can lay them out differently throughout your park. You can have like the monorails come through different types of buildings that handle different types of services. You can get genomes of all the different dinosaurs. So number 19, let's go ahead and go to this one. This one has just been released recently. There's actually a demo for it available, and it's A Train All Aboard Tourism. This one's kind of like Railway Empire in a way, but it's not the same kind of theme, because Railway Empire is kind of old, kind of classic, vintage kind of railway. But this one is a little bit more, it's more modern. But this one's all about kind of building your train and your transportation from one part to another within the land, and then kind of making it so that people can go from one area to another and kind of build up different parts of your town. I'm not sure how the gameplay is involved. I don't know how much control you have over the other city building aspects of it. But it's brand spanking new. It just dropped on the Switch not too long ago. Like I said, there is a demo for it. I'm going to download the demo. I'm going to give it a shot. But in this one, you become the president of your very own railroad company, laying tracks and running your trains as you see fit. However, you will be responsible for more than the railroad. You'll also be tasked with managing subsidiaries, playing the stock market, and participating in urban planning in order to develop and expand your town. So your transportation lines that you set up from one location to another within your city actually helps build that city. And you can actually set up transportation lines out to like tourist locations too. But I'm very curious on the actual flexibility of the town management. That's what I'm really curious about, because it looks like it's, from the screenshots I've seen, even the trailer video, it looks like it's pretty deep. It looks like there's it even gets down to paying your taxes later on. So as you make investments and as you build things, you need to make sure you can pay your taxes later on. And then as far as managing, the traffic from one area to another. And if this game has a way that you can actually control the building of the town in different buildings and setting up different buildings, different attractions in different places, it could be a game that could rival City Skylines. I mean, I don't think it will, but if it does all of that, plus the trains, plus everything else, I think it could be something that could be a good alternative to that. That one is expensive though. It's like $59. It just came out, so of course it's gonna have the high price tag. The 20th on the list is the Survivalists. Well, you're basically on an island. You're trying to survive. You can build kind of like Minecraft, but not in 3D world with blocks. It's your overhead view. You can go and harvest wood from trees, etc. And you can build your little forts and eventually kind of build up your base. There are monkeys too you can train in this game that'll actually make the building easier. And then there's certain parts in this game where you'll get quests from a stranger. A lot of the action that, as you're going through certain temples or whatever, or even fighting creatures on the outside of the world, it's kind of like a top-down view of like a Zelda game, because you walk around, you just kind of swing your sword and stuff, or not your sword, but whatever weapon you have. But yeah, so that's the Survivalists. It is multiplayer friendly too, but not local, unfortunately. I wish that game had local co-op, but it has multiplayer through online. The last game on the list, the 21st game on the list, is Townsmen: A Kingdom Rebuilt. And this is one that I had purchased. It's sitting on my Switch, and I'm actually going to do a video on it very, very soon to do some gameplay. This one reminds me of an old school city sim. It looks old school, and it's all medieval themed. It's the complete total feudal period where you have a castle, you have an outside village. You can have you can set up these jousting places. You can harvest crops. You can collect coins from your town folks. You're building them kind of like an economy. You could actually mine for ore. There's also times where disaster will strike. It feels like there's a lot of disasters that strike in this game. But yeah, it is. I mean, there's taverns and marketplaces, and then there's impressive statues and all sorts of different monuments and gardens and stuff you can create in your town. So it is a game where it's all medieval style. I definitely think this is a game that you could probably put a shit ton of time into. But it does look very old school and a little mobile. It's kind of like on that borderline with a mobile game and a real video game on a console. But yeah, I should have a video of that very soon. I'm gonna do my first playthrough with that and just kind of see how that is. Okay, so there you go. So you have 21 games that you can sink a lot of time into, except for the Kairosoft games. Those ones you cannot. But yeah, you can sink some time into and let your creative juices flow and build fortresses, castles, whatever you want, whether it's a 3D building environment or whether or not it's like a city sim or a hospital sim, a theme park sim, or a farming sim. But that's it, guys. I am Jim, the Game Guru, your video game and board game nerd, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.